everybody. Welcome to Ass. I am Adam,
And I'm Steve.
and this is Show, and this is our Glicked episode. We're doing a whole Glicked thing because that's the new Barbenheimer, right?
No, it's that's I would never do it. I mean, those movies, each one of them is like nearing 3 hours, so that would just be. Although I've done three movies in a day before several times, it's just not. It's too long. I would have to pee too much. I would miss movies because of it.
Similarly with Barbenheimer, I did both on two different days, but like back-to-back days.
Yeah,
Uh,
that works out better in my opinion. That's kind of what I did too, because I saw Gladiator the like Friday or I think it was the Friday it came out, and then on Sunday I saw Wicked, so I had a day in between. But
mhm. But before we talk about those big, huge movies, we want to touch on a bigger movie that came out earlier, like right after we recorded our last episode. We have Venom: The Last Dance. This is a comic book movie. Steve, how you feeling about it?
so I am one of the people that really gets a kick out of these movies. They're not perfect. They're not even necessarily that good, but they're just a lot of fun. And it seems like Tom Hardy, God love his soul, is just enjoying himself for the most part. It doesn't seem like he's really like hating being there. Like he enjoys the role of Eddie Brock. And as much as these movies get all the shit that they get, is this one the weakest of the three of them? I think so. Like, because I seeing it right now, the only thing I can remember right now is the goofy ass dance scene with Mrs. Chen or whatever. Like, that was perfect. I loved that, but the rest of the movie was pretty much a nothing burger. Like the doctor girl that's also in Ted Lasso, which big props to Ted Lasso. I'm getting through the first season right now, and I love that show, but even her in that movie was just kind of nothing. Like it was a fun at the end, the little montage of like wanting us to be so nostalgic about spending our time with Venom. It was really funny to me. Like I was laughing in the movie theater and I was like, it's funny though. Like I feel like that was almost self-aware in a way. Like they did that on purpose. But for what it is, I had fun watching it. I went and saw it with my brother. Other than the first one, I've seen both of them with him, and we get a kick out of them. So, I mean, it was for that experience, it was a good time, but ultimately, do not remember shit about this one.
I agree with a few things you said, and I disagree with a few things you said. So you said this is the worst Venom movie. My favorite is Venom: Let There Be Carnage. I think that's actually like a legitimately good movie, and I credit
Me too.
Andy Serkis for that. But this I think I like more than the first one because at least this one we get more symbiote action, whereas the first one kind of has that like origin story syndrome where we're just, not really there yet, and we're not fully
Yeah.
confident in this concept. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we get the fun scenes in this one. I forgot about the horse thing until I was just now thinking about all of the symbiote stuff like you mentioned. This one definitely, yeah, I would actually, maybe I'll take that back and say the first one might be the most boring. Because I like Riz Ahmed, and that's kind of what I was holding my power on of Sync, thinking that one was better. But truly looking back at it, this one just kind of, like I said, more self-aware and kind of just not afraid to just be silly and just be what it is. Like they know they're not trying to be fighting with the MCU. They're not trying to get that amount of money. They're just trying to satisfy their audience that they've created in a way.
Well, they do really well. They do very well. But
Yeah.
I will say that you talked about this movie being like funny and whether it was self-aware funny or not. I think that, for example, like the memories thing at the end, I think that is not intentional. I think that they think that this is a genuine, like serious moment. Them using that like because it reminded me of I remember in Amazing Spider-Man 2 when they played the "You're gonna make this place your home." Like that
Hmm.
was so like, oh my God, you're just throwing in the pop song because, for cynical corporate reasons and it doesn't really fit in this scene. So I think that's not intentional. I do think a lot of it is obviously Venom dancing with Chen. Mrs. Chen is the funniest scene of them. I love that scene so much, even though it's so obnoxiously dumb because they literally established that these insect guys will only come after you when you are in your symbiote form. But Venom insists on dancing with Mrs. Chen,
Couldn't
and then
resist.
this thing like flies in at him, right?
Yeah, they just, I mean, yeah, it's stupid and it doesn't make any sense character-wise, but to move this plot along, I guess they have to
Hmm.
do stupid shit like that to just be like, Sorry, that goes against everything we've actually written beforehand, but we gotta get you here somewhere. So
Yeah, it's already not my Venom. You know, like I honestly, my Venom personally, I know that I'll get crucified for this, but it's Topher Grace in Spider-Man 3. I love Spider-Man 3. I think yes, when he shows his face, it's stupid, but like when he's Venom, that's what Venom looks like. You know what I mean?
no, yeah, and I actually love Topher Grace's portrayal of Eddie Brock just being like an asshole to freaking Peter all the time, and it's very entertaining. But yeah, I have fun with Tom Hardy, but overall, yeah, these movies aren't anything that I'm gonna like turn on when I'm really getting the itch for a superhero movie. They're more like, oh, my brothers are all here. Let's watch something silly, and this is what comes on ultimately. It's not anything. It's like, oh, that's a classic.
Yeah, I'm happy Tom Hardy's passionate about it. Like he seems to really enjoy this, which is like sucks because he's like one of Nolan's guys, you know what I mean? So like I don't know, the fact that you have the ability, you know, he's Mad Max, like come on, he's a much higher caliber of actor. I mean, this year we got like Bike Riders and he's like award nomination worthy. And then we're
Yeah.
in Venom: The Last Dance and we're like really passionate about it. We're like producing and overseeing the story and everything. I don't know.
My
It's disappointing in that regard.
my sneaking suspicion is that he like might have a little bit more passion for this one versus those others is because like working on those projects, there was so much turmoil behind the scenes that like I can't necessarily speak to because I wasn't there, but from like people talking about it in pop culture, Mad Max, for what it's been talked about, him and Charlize had a terrible relationship on that set. And then like
Hmm.
I've heard that like the stuff with when he talks about like playing Bane in Dark Knight
Hmm.
Rises, people like the reception to his voice and everything. I really think it actually like really hurt his soul. So to be able to play a superhero villain-esque character that actually people respond to well, I think that probably like boosted him even higher than probably most people would be in this situation, I think.
Hmm. I do have a good question for you though. How disappointed are you that we never went the Spider-Man route with this trilogy?
It is very sad. Like, ultimately, if Spider-Man goes back to Sony eventually, and they do somehow do like a Sinister Six type deal, if Tom Hardy came back for that and they actually did it right somehow, I think it would be really amazing. But while we didn't ever get Spider-Man in them, I don't think it really like robbed it from what it could have been. And if that makes any sense, I guess. Like these movies are just what they are, in my opinion. Like having Spider-Man around in any of them, I don't think would have changed it that much.
I really wanted it in this third one, and I really thought that's where we were going with it, especially with the mid-credit scene of the last movie, you know, where he like re literally addresses Spider-Man, I mean,
Yeah.
on the television. But the fact that this movie starts out with the whole multiverse thing for no reason, he just kind of gets snapped back, or whatever. I mean, I'm sure I don't care to put brain power into describing in detail how he gets to travel back to his own timeline. But then Venom goes like, "Oh, I'm sick of this multiverse shit," and I'm like, "That's annoying. That's an annoying thing for you to say, because Sony, you love that multiverse shit. Like the Spider-Verse movies are the most well-reviewed superhero movies like ever, and the No Way Home movie is like the highest-grossing movie of the 2020s outside of like Top Gun, Avatar, stuff like that. So."
Yeah.
It's really annoying for him to come out and say, especially since like the multiverse was going to help his situation become more cool. I mean, like, what's the highest grossing superhero movie of the year this year, please?
Don't put me on the spot like
Oh,
that.
it's
I really
it's
don't.
Deadpool and Wolverine, right?
Oh
It's
yeah,
a
obviously. I'm
character
looking
who
right at it across
was
the room.
a Marvel character who was primarily like not necessarily a hero who gets two of their own solo movies, and then the third one they finally get to join up with the the actual real universe or a real universe or a central character in that in their character's lineage or whatever. And the third movie's huge, Deadpool and Wolverine. Why didn't we get Venom and Spider-Man? You know what I mean? Venom versus Spider-Man or something. Bring everyone wanted Garfield back. If he doesn't want to come back, whatever. Bring Maguire back. I don't care. He doesn't want to come
Bill
back.
Murray.
Anybody, yeah, sure, anybody. Shameik
You said
Moore, I'm sure
Garfield.
he would do it. Like I don't know. So it's just like super annoying, but it also is nice that they aren't doing the multiverse thing with this because it's like okay, it's its own train wreck on its own. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
I
not
agree.
tainting anything else. I think every single Spider-Man movie that's ever theatrically been released is better than every single Venom movie.
I'd have to get back to you on that because I haven't rewatched. I have not rewatched the train wreck that is Amazing Spider-Man 2 in a long time, but I
Hmm.
physically like my brother saw it in theaters and I didn't, and he told me like, "Oh, it's a really good movie. I don't know what anybody's talking about." And then when I finally got it, I was like, "You're wrong." I was like, "You're so wrong." That's like that movie's terrible.
I understand the things that are bad about it. I think that the worst Spider-Man movie is a three-star movie, and I think the best Venom movie is a three-star movie. So in that regard, like Venom 2, I may like more than I like The Amazing Spider-Man or the second one or whatever.
Venom
But
2, Venom 2 truly tempts me. Like I have not rewatched it in a while, but that might truly tempt me to almost bump it up to a four. Like I feel like it's probably like a 3.5 star movie to me, but I really enjoy that movie for the lunacy that it is, especially with Woody
yeah.
Harrelson being there.
Oh yeah,
Like I
exactly.
had a
And that's
great
another
time
thing.
with it.
Don't you miss how good of a villain that Woody Harrelson was in the second movie? Because in the third one, the villain is Null, who has like two scenes where he sounds like Snoke, and it doesn't do anything with anybody. And then it's a bunch of these cockroach monsters.
Yeah, I was about to say I truly don't even didn't even remember like the big bad villain in this one. Like it didn't have any impact on me. Like it had less of an impact truly like story wise than fucking Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantum Realm or whatever the fuck. Like it
Hmm.
just has nothing that really like attached itself to my memory. Like and it's only been like over a month and a half maybe. And it's not
Hmm.
like my brain's that fried, but it's just yeah, it's just nothing really to remember.
Yeah, sometimes movies are just bad, and I was like annoyed during the movie. Like I was like, I'm very like noticeable. Like it's been a year since we went to the movies together. But like I feel like I exude how I'm feeling, like not in a loud way, but in like a physical way. So like I did a lot of like, you know what I mean? Like I was like very thoroughly not enjoying it. I hope this is the end. We're getting a Kraven the Hunter movie. We're getting a Kraven the Hunter movie in like 2 weeks. I'm gonna oh.
Well, and I've actually been a bit more sold on that than I ever was beforehand. Because, like, when I first heard about it for the longest time, I could not give less of a shit. But some of the last trailers that they've put out have kind of sold me a bit more. And the fact that it's rated R kind of sells me a bit more. That I just hope it's not cookie cutter
Mhm.
stupidness. Like, if it's actually a good action movie, I will be so fucking happy that I'll probably overrate it like a motherfucker, but I'm just gonna be so happy if it's a watchable, good story.
I have one demand for that movie, and if they fulfill this need of mine, then like I will be immediately happy. So this might be hard to show you on here, but I just need at one point during the movie for Craven, like I want his shirt off. Maybe he could be wearing a vest. I want to be ridiculously ripped, like cartoonishly ripped. I want the mustache to be like a ridiculous, like if you saw that mustache in real life, you would be like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And I want him to stand like this. I want him to like.
Hell yeah.
Like I just want him to puff his chest out and be like the most cocky, obnoxious asshole. Like this should be fun. Like this should be like a fun character. But the fact that this is like such a serious like thriller, and then Rhino's there, that I kind of like. Like if we're gonna like utilize all this excess Spider-Man villain bullshit, then like team them up a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing I want it to be is just be fun and just be better than most things that Sony has been putting out over the last few years. Like if you can just leap over that very, very short hurdle, it could be a very fun movie. But
So please rank those. I want the Venom movies. I want Morbius, and I want Madam Web. I want those five, please, ranked for me.
oh damn.
I mean, I'm going Venom. Let There Be Carnage
I'm about to
for
say Let There
sure.
Be Carnage is the top for me. Then probably
I think I'll go Venom 3, 1, Morbius, Madam Web. I hate Madam Web.
yeah, Madam Web's definitely the bottom for me. Yeah, I'd probably go mine's probably about the same actually. Yeah.
Because I was like one of those like I had a crusade where I was trying to defend Morbius. I'm like, it's bad, but it's not like the worst movie ever, guys.
Matt Smith is having so much fucking fun just being stupid that it makes it a lot more fun. And if you watch it from that perspective, like this movie's just a trash pile, and watch how try hard Jared Leto is and all of this stupidness. Like from that aspect, it's hilarious. But if you try to watch it, like when I watched it for the first time in theaters, I was just in awe of how it got through so many hands.
Well, and isn't the best scene in the oh, there's that scene and the Morbius. I don't know. I'm pretty
You
sure there's a
paused,
scene where
your thing
Morbius,
paused
like
for a
Matt
second.
Smith.
I didn't hear you.
Oh, okay, okay. I was saying that the best scene in Morbius, similarly to Venom 3, is when Matt Smith dances.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Okay, that's a real scene. Oh, and then in Madam Web, all the girls dancing on the table. These are all the
Yeah.
best scenes in these movies. They need to do more dancing. I'm giving Venom 3 a 2 out of 5. I honestly hated it.
You know, I gave it a 3 when I initially watched it in theaters, but honestly, even thinking about it now, I would probably retroactively drop that down to a 2. Like, it was not a good movie, and it's truly like it has nothing on my memory that I can think of positively other than just the goofy shit that's in it. So, yeah, I'd probably give it a 2 out of 5 at this point.
Yeah, booty, bad. We don't like it. Don't go see it or it's gone. So you probably already saw it. It made good money.
Yeah.
And thank you for supporting cinema, I guess. But like, don't buy it on Blu-ray. I probably will buy the Blu-ray. I have the first two on Blu-ray. Uh,
I definitely have the first two on Vudu. I don't think I have any of them on Blu-ray that I can think of. But a movie that I would buy right now on Blu-ray is The Wild Robot. Now, I was really late to see this one. Like it was almost leaving theaters when I finally got a chance to see it, but I adored this movie. Like I had no real like idea of what it was, but I think you told me or someone said something about it being very Iron Giant-esque, and I definitely see that so much, but and this is coming from someone who got very soured on Iron Giant as a child because my brother literally like when we would all have to like my mom would literally coordinate during the day. Sometimes she'd be like, "All right, you get your turn, then second brother, then third brother," and then it would go back. And like my brother would always pick either Land Before Time or Iron Giant all the time to the point where I hated both those movies. Like as a kid, I was like, if you fucking turn that on, I'm leaving the room. And I would go like play with toys in like the other room until it was over. I'm like, all right, new movie.
I love Iron
But
Giant. Give me that childhood all day long.
I have not watched it since I was a child, so I need to rewatch that on your Vudu. I've had it in my watch list. But that being said, this movie was so incredible. I loved the whole voice cast and everything. The animation was so good, and I'd be lying if I said it didn't get a couple tears out of me. So it is truly like a 5 out of 5 for me. If it somehow won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, I would be very happy.
Sometimes I do that where I go into a movie like this that's like, oh, get ready to cry. And then I really want to cry because I like crying. And then I go see it and I don't cry. And I didn't really feel like close to crying with this one. I think it's really good. I think it's like a 4 out of 5. I think the people that are, hailing it like as one of the greatest animated movies of all time, I disagree with that personally. I'm happy people are
Yeah.
connecting with it. Especially like I know it's an adaptation from a book series, but like an original movie like this being so successful is such a W for the industry. But I was like kind of disappointed after I saw it because I was hoping that Wild Robot would blow Inside Out 2 out of the water. And when I rewatched Inside Out 2 recently after like seeing Wild Robot for the first time, I was like, this is a toss up. And in that scenario, I think Disney is going to win the Disney Award at the Oscars. You know what I mean?
I have not rewatched Inside Out 2 since I've seen it in theaters, but I'd be curious to watch it again just to try to make that same comparison. Because right now I would put Wild Robot ahead of it, but it might just be the hype train in my head, so I'd
Well,
have
I'm
to
just saying because I'm
rewatch.
forecasting for the best animated feature Oscar,
Yeah,
and because I think that honestly either of these movies winning best animated feature I think would be the worst best animated feature winner in like geez like a decade or so, and I don't know. I guess I'm being a hater. I think Wild Robot's really good. I think it's interesting how we have this main plot, which by the way we know how it's going to end in the trailer. Like the whole thing is like we need to raise this duckling so that it flies. And we see in the trailer it flying, right? And we know this is going to happen, guys, so don't worry.
Well,
And
for someone who didn't watch the trailer, they might not have known, like me, but
fair, fair. Okay, that's a problem where I'm too close to the subject. Like
yeah.
I like literally may I know what goes inside the hot dogs. You know what I mean? So I'm like,
I bring I bring these sometimes and I've started using them when trailers come on and I'll just start
mm.
playing like a YouTube video or music so I don't hear trailers and I don't look at them anymore. Like that's how much trailers have been annoying me over the last few years.
Honestly, and good for you, man, because I think that's really the way to go. If I didn't have the job that I have, I would definitely employ more tactics to avoid trailers.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, so people who watch the trailer, which most people like, it's not like it's like, oh, the big franchise, Wild Robot, I'll go see that, whatever. I don't need to see a trailer. Like, people do that with Star
Yeah.
Wars or Marvel. But the Wild Robot, that takes a trailer to sell most casual audiences. And so most casual audiences going in know what the main climactic thing of the movie is. And then obviously that's not like the climax of the movie. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that happens, and then it's like, all right, side quest, we gotta save all the animals from the storm. And meanwhile, the duck is at the place, or whatever, at their new home, and it's not going well or whatever. And then that's now the plot. So I thought it was interesting how it kind of like shifted on a dime there. We had this little like subplot going on with the, getting everyone in the little bungalow and all nice and warm and getting along.
Yeah, and that's where I think I loved it even more because I think I was kind of looking at it through like, oh, is this a great movie for my nieces? And it 100%. Like it teaches so many lessons like that where it's like, oh, get along and inclusion. You don't have to always be so angry at people and blah blah blah. Like it had a lot of those like touchy-feely like, oh, my nieces are gonna really enjoy that and shit like that. Like that's what I watch a lot of these movies through those lenses now. So I
Mhm.
think it changes my opinion just a little bit slightly more than the average moviegoer, I guess.
No, it's great to go in with that perspective. Like when I saw, like, I mean, we're not going to talk about Moana 2 in this episode, but I did see Moana 2, and at the end, like, I really didn't like it. And I turned to my buddy and I'm like, they weren't trying to make it for 25-year-old men, like, I know that I'm a big fan and I am in the fan demographic of this type of thing, but like, I understand that, like, the overall, like, demographic is not like me. So it's fine, but I do have a good question for you, though. Speaking of best animated feature, is Wild Robot the best animated and best animation of the year? So not like best animated movie, like the animation itself. Is this the best animation of the year?
Can I count stop motion?
Of course. I think we're
Then
going
no,
for the
then
same thing then.
absolutely not. Yeah.
Oh, are we both going Memoir of a Snail?
Absolutely.
Dude, squad up, man. I'm so happy that you have that. And I'm so happy you saw that movie too. We're gonna talk about it in a minute, obviously. I mean, did you have anything
Yeah.
about Wild Robot? We could transition into it.
No, let's just jump into that one. Yeah, Wild Robot's good. If you got kids,
4
take
out of
them. I think they'll
5.
get a good time. I gave it a five. I really loved it.
And then A Memoir of a Snail, I caught in a theater right before I saw Red One, and I knew very little about it besides it was stop motion. And I thought it was like super sweet. And I think the animation's really ugly, but like
Hmm.
purposefully ugly in like a beautiful way. You know what I
Yeah, it
mean?
reminded me like I saw you were watching a lot of like Wallace and Gromit lately. It reminds me of a
hmm
lot of that kind of stuff. And I haven't seen, apparently the same director did one a few years ago that got a lot of acclaim.
Max and Muncie or whatever.
Something like that.
Mary and
Max and
Max.
something. Marion Max, I think is what it is. Yeah. And that
Mm.
looks really fun too. Like, especially these like more adult story animations with stop motion. Like, I'm a sucker for anything a little bit out of the ordinary, especially like that Pinocchio that Guillermo del Toro did a few years ago. Like, everything that's not just CGI stuff just always gets my attention a bit more because it takes just that little bit more craft to it and you see the
Yeah.
human side of it and everything. But and this story is just it's so sad, but also heartwarming by the end of it. Like this girl
Mm.
just stays positive through all this adversity for the most part and just keeps trying at life, even though life's just fucking punching her down hardcore.
Oh yeah, it's an adult story too. Like we don't
Oh
get a lot
yeah,
of adult animated movies, and
exactly.
there's some shocking moments in this movie. There's some I was like hook, line, and sinker for it. I was getting emotional.
The
Honestly,
nudity
I'm kind
really
of upset I
struck
don't give
me.
it to a five. I'm out because I'm at a 4 out of 5. What were you at?
I think I did give it a full five. Like I really loved it.
See, and the thing is, a slight tangent, I'm really upset this year with the movies in 2024 because, and I can prove this with facts, right? Like data, I have statistics. So on Letterboxd, 2024 is by far my lowest rated year for movies since like the 1950s. And it's not even close. Like everything's at like a 2.8, and like most other years are at like a 3 at least. So, yes, I'm watching a lot of garbage this year, but I think another big factor is previous years I'd given out like 20 something 5-star movies every single year. And this
Yeah,
year I don't even have 10 yet.
I think I might be overrating some things this year. Like if I really went back with a critical eye, I could go back and probably knock a few down. But I can definitely see that because like just thinking back, because like you saw in my letterbox recently, I rewatched Knives Out recently, and I was like,
Great movie.
2019 was just a fucking solid year. Like that was the
Mhm.
last year that I really like. Right now, I think I'm sitting at like 50 something movies in theaters. 2019, I saw like over 130, I think. Like I was there almost every single day, multiple movies in a day. Like I had so much fun at the movies because there was just so much good shit coming out. But yeah, even like yeah, within this year and even bleeding a bit into last year, like it's nothing's really like stuck with me as much as even 2019, 2020 stuff. Like this post-pandemic shit has not been as good in my opinion.
Well, 2022 and 2023 were amazing. I will say both of them, especially 2023, I would even say is even more
2023 was
amazing than two.
yeah, especially with Oppenheimer and things like that. I forget. Yeah.
But this year, like like I said, I can't even make a top 10. I mean, I'm gonna rewatch Challengers and bump that up to a 5, I think, because it's one that stuck with me a lot, and I think it is great in a lot of ways. And I would rewatch it multiple times.
hmm
But like that would give me 9. And I watched well I spoilers, I gave Nosferatu a 5. I watched that
I
last
was just
night.
about to say that. Yeah, I was because I'm gonna go see that on Christmas Day, I think, at this point with my family. So I'm very
Mhm.
much looking forward to that because I adore the original movie, like the silent version, like that is even the German one too that came out a little bit after. They did like a
Werner Herzog.
yeah, that one. I've seen that one I think twice now, but the original is super good.
I haven't seen either. The original is on Amazon, but it's in like painted in color. And it's
Oh
like,
yeah,
no, why
no.
would I want to do
Yeah.
that?
I think you can probably find it on YouTube too, because it's that old, it's probably public domain by now. And I think I watched it on there with black and white.
Well, but my point I'm trying to make here is that like, because I did a Complete Unknown yesterday, I gave that like a 4. The day before that, I did Queer, I gave that a 4, and then tonight I do Baby Girl. But after this, it's like I'm excited for Night Bitch. I haven't done Sing Sing, Sonic and Mufasa. No,
Um,
so where's the last 5 out of 5 gonna come from? You know what I'm saying?
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. Some of those movies I've never even heard of until very recently. Like the Queer one, I've heard that like I think someone else talked about that movie recently. I think maybe Chad said that
It
he
was
was
a
get
Luca
had like one.
Guadagnino thing.
Yeah, I've never heard of it until recently. The same with Night Bitch. I got an invite to go to the Altamont Springs or whatever to go to that screening, and I was like, well, I'd love to, but
I'm very excited for that movie. It's one of my most anticipated movies of the year because I want to watch an Academy Award nominated
who
actress bark.
who's in it? Like I've not heard of it other than I
It's
got
Amy
the
Adams.
okay.
Yeah, and she's like, apparently the dog thing is not too big of a deal, but like, yeah, she's like sick of her suburban mom life, and so she like kind of goes nuts, and she may or may not think she's a dog, and she may or may not bark.
I'm sold.
Yeah, I know, right? But what I'm trying to say is like, do not be like me. Do not become corrupted like me, because all my friends would make fun of me. They'd be like, "Oh, Adam, you're going down a million 5 out of 5s. Everything's a 5." And so, like, maybe in prior years, because I love Deadpool and Wolverine, like, it has very glaring faults to me, but like, at the end of the day, I'd rewatch that a million times because I love
Oh
those
yeah.
characters and it's such a fun movie. And then Trap, I love M. Night. There's so many. I really love, in a
Still
lot
haven't
of
seen
ways,
Trap
Joker,
yet.
Folie à Deux. You haven't seen Trap yet?
No,
Do you have Max?
I do. I have with fucking commercials because I'm poor, but
Oh, I'm so sick of that with like streaming services like Hulu. I just won't do it. If you're gonna make me watch like 90 seconds worth of ads every
yeah,
like
no.
5 minutes.
Hulu, I pay for to get without ads. Same with Peacock, because I'm like the Peacock one makes me mad when it interrupts. The only thing with Peacock before movies, it'll load up and then you won't get interrupted. But fucking HBO Max does it in the middle of movies, and it pisses me off.
I agree. Peacock is probably the most good about ads, I would say. If
Yeah,
I have to deal with ads, I mean, this is why Netflix is like the coolest. I mean, doesn't Netflix have ads for certain payment
yeah, you can
plans?
for like $7 a month or something like that. You get ads, and you don't get certain things. Because I had it for a second, but like when Madam Web came on there, it was like this is a premium content, and I was like, "Fuck you! That movie's not premium ever."
Well, regardless, there's enough things that don't have ads that I still need to catch up on, and I will give my time to those things because I'm not here to watch your ads that don't mean anything to me. Um, but Memoir of a Snail, is that your favorite animated? Well, you gave it a 4 or 5, you said.
Five, yeah, I love it. I think it is my favorite animated movie of the year.
Okay, over Wild Robot. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite animated movie of the year. It's my second favorite because my favorite, I'm a little boy. I'm a baby boy and I love Transformers 1. I think that movie's awesome.
No, yeah, that's definitely still top five for sure for me. But Memoir of a Snail is just so, just such a like, it's almost like a blanket of a movie in a way. Like it's just one of those things where you can just cuddle in, and it's a good story.
I fully agree. I fully agree. I have so much fun with that movie. I hope it gets nominated. I think it will get nominated. I may have skipped ahead in our little list here.
Yeah, no worries. Actually, I think our next one up, jumping back to Netflix for a second, we can talk about Don't Move for a second if you want to. Very
Oh
underwhelming
yeah.
movie.
Oh yeah, you have three Netflix ones in a row that I just want to. Don't Move it was bad. Unfrosted is really bad,
Yeah, don't watch
and Time
Unfrosted.
Cut is also bad. I don't like any of these.
The only one I would say that I enjoyed, but nobody else has on this planet, it feels like, is Time Cut. But I am also a child of the late 90s, early 2000s. So like when they do all that nostalgia bait of all the music and things like that, like I love fucking uh all of the different songs that they jump into and shit like that. So like those moments are fun, but it's very much a rip on every single time travel movie that you've seen. Especially like people keep comparing it to that one that Kieran and Shipka made on
Totally
Amazon.
Killer.
Yeah, and that one is a better movie than this one, truly, when it comes to like the actual like reveal of the killer and everything like that. But
Hmm.
it's just yeah, it would for a fan that likes slashers, it's fun enough, but yeah, it's nothing that special whatsoever. But when it comes to Netflix, I think it's above average, I would say.
I'll say this because you brought up the Totally Killer thing, which I think is a perfect comparison. I like this more than that. I hated Totally Killer. And one thing I really like about this in comparison is I did feel like there was a lot of emphasis put on the relationship between the two main girls, while her and her
Yeah.
like sister is supposed to die. Like
Yeah.
I feel like that was taken seriously and they were actually investing in it. And so I felt actually a little invested in it. Like I don't think I gave it like the worst rating ever, but Totally Killer sucks. I did not like that one. But most people seem to like it, so I'm definitely in the minority there.
I gave Time Cut a three, but I might even I mean I wouldn't probably move it much higher, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and then I guess, and then of those ones though, I don't know. Don't Move was like a cool concept, like, and then Sam Raimi's name being attached to it. Which, by the way, I just think that at this point now, Sam Raimi being attached to a movie doesn't really mean anything to me unless he's directing it.
No, yeah, Sam Raimi producing because they did the same thing with that fucking shark movie that I absolutely despised in 2019.
Oh,
Or
is that The
Crawl.
Shallows? Oh, Crawl. That was alligators, and I just watched that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Alexander Aja.
I hated that movie because it's like, oh, I'm a swimmer. That's gonna be my. It's like, yeah, that's obviously what she's gonna do the whole fucking movie, and it was just so boring to me. Like I hated that. I was certainly looking at my watch throughout the whole time in that theater, waiting to leave. I think I saw it at the AMC in Florida.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
watched it right when the hurricane started, here, and
that
uh,
might work better, honestly, in that kind of setting. Because when you watch it in a dry movie theater with a bunch of old people at noon in Florida.
noon. Oh my gosh! And then did you enjoy Unfrosted? I know you gave it 2.5.
No,
Not letting
not
me pull up
really.
your reviews. I could just like it says
Yeah,
no
I think
bad.
Redbox is being weird right now because I've been trying to do the same. Or Letterbox,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, well, Unfrosted, I hate. I think the funniest thing about that movie is they just like somehow managed to corral the two most unfunny women in all of entertainment, and Amy Schumer and Melissa McCarthy.
I don't
Like,
hate Melissa McCarthy, but yeah, Amy Schumer's the worst.
but they're the same brand too. Like, oh, I fell down, like kind of humor.
Well,
I don't know. I don't like either of them
Amy
at
Schumer
all.
just talks about her vagina and shit, and that's all she does. But like at least
My
Melissa McCarthy will like
vagina.
fall down and be funny. Like she's like a physical comedian. But, like I enjoy
I'll agree.
that.
Melissa McCarthy is better as an actress
Melissa
and as a
McCarthy,
person.
Melissa McCarthy and Spy, I fucking really enjoyed that movie.
And The Heat, I like that one too.
I enjoyed that one too, yeah.
But yeah,
But
anything else about
Unfrosted,
those?
Unfrosted is not good. It made me laugh a few times, like the whole January 6th thing on the whole thing. That was funny. Fucking Hugh Grant dressed up like the fucking January 6th guy with the fucking horns on his head or whatever. That was funny to me, but yeah, there was like moments where I was like, there's some good jokes in here, but overall, even someone that's from Michigan and drives through Battle Creek and drives past Kellogg and all that kind of shit all the time, it still just wasn't that nostalgic bait that they kind of wanted to sprinkle in there, especially talking about Battle Creek all the time.
Hmm.
Which I don't even know why they did, because like, is Jerry Seinfeld from Michigan? No, I don't think so. He's from New York.
Hmm. Yeah,
So I
I
don't
know. I
know.
got nothing out of it. I don't like Jim Gaffigan. I didn't like any of the reference humor. I didn't like the framing of the movie. I was being a whole story being told to a kid.
It's
I didn't
just
like anything.
boring.
It's
It's a
just boring.
I think I watched it like riding in the work truck on the way up to the UP and stuff, but like even that situation I was just like time's going slower now than it should be going faster, being entertained.
Yeah, no, bad, a lot of bad from Netflix. Netflix, stop being bad. And then so you saw Speak No Evil. I would love to get your take on that because I'm a fan of James McAvoy.
And James McAvoy doing his best version of like outtakes from what's that one movie
Split.
Split? Yeah.
Mhm.
It was
From M. Night.
fun, but like yeah. But it definitely had like M. Night tones to it almost at certain points, especially when
Mhm.
it kept trying to be. But M. Night does twists better because like all the twists in this movie you kept seeing from like a mile away. But I don't know, like I enjoyed parts of it, but I feel like, and I haven't seen the original, so I can't speak to that whatsoever, but it was fine. And it was a fun, like entertaining story, and like James McAvoy getting to be unleashed James McAvoy is always a fun time. But other than that, everyone else was just okay, but he seemed to be having a good time.
Yeah, I love him. I love when he's singing. I think he's a really cool actor that really goes for it. I think a lot of the marketing was based off of like, oh, he's crazy. And
Exactly.
I love that people see him as the quality of actor that a movie concept could be sold on, which is great. I will say that I haven't seen the original one that it's a remake of, but this movie reminded me of a foreign film that I recently watched. You ever see Funny Games?
I know of it, but I've not seen it. With
Yeah,
like the
just that
kids and
concept of
everything.
like, which I like the concept of like, oh, because you let us, you know what I mean? Like, kind of like that Strangers
I was
movie,
about to say, don't
but
you
like
hate the strangers
actually
though?
interesting. Well, this is actually because we know the characters, we know
Yeah.
who the villains are. Like Strangers, it's just we don't know, but like here, like you understand how social dynamics go like this. Like I always said when it came out that it was like the double date from hell, and that's really what it is like. And it's you not establishing boundaries for yourself and allowing people to do things to you that make you feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I really like that. I thought that was really interesting. And yeah, like I said, obviously like James McAvoy, Mackenzie Davis is cool. Scoot McNairy, the cuck Scoot McNairy. That was so funny because he's like way older than her. Like that's a whole like concept in the movie is age.
Yeah.
But that was like a weird pairing right from the jump. You know what I mean?
hmm Yeah, there was a
Uh,
lot of weirdness about it, but yeah, overall it was just yeah, it's fine. Like it's not anything that like I absolutely loved, but it was a fun movie.
And yeah, you said 3.5. I think I was at like a 3. I think it's one that I would love to be generous to and give a 4 to, but
Yeah, if
I
anything,
don't think
I'm
I'm gonna
going
see
the
it
other way at
again.
this point. Yeah. If
And,
anything,
I
I
don't want
might
the
even
Blu-ray or anything, like
not
people
unless
are.
there's like a really funny picture of like James McAvoy doing something weird or like yeah, like if it's something weird like that, I would buy it, but it would really have to be something pretty good and like a Black Friday deal.
One you would get on any day, any Friday. Doesn't have to be a Black Friday. Anora, one of the best movies of the year, in my opinion. I see a 5 out of 5 with a heart from you. I would love to
Oh
hear more
yeah.
about how you feel.
I the only and if you see what I watched right before it that morning, I watched
Hmm.
Tangerine for the first time. Had not seen that one, so pairing those two together that day, I was having a good Sean Baker day. And actually, after I saw Honora, is when I saw Memoir of a Snail. But
Hmm.
Honora was just so good. I mean, I didn't know a whole lot about it going into it, other than that. What is her name? Mikey Madison.
Yeah.
I knew she was in it, and like I've seen her in things like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Scream 5, and obviously she has her roles in those, but this is completely just she's the star of the show in this one, which I wasn't really like 100% sure about. I wasn't in love with any of the trailers, but once I got into the movie and once the story started rolling and just the tale it takes us on through this girl's just a small portion of this girl's life, it was very entertaining and very like you get a very intimate look at just a crazy world that this girl gets put into from being just a girl from kind of just poverty, having nothing really going on, to being thrown into some of the craziest shit that anyone would probably experience in a lifetime with the son of like a mafia boss.
Hmm. No, yeah, I think it's one that was surprisingly funny to me. I had
Yeah,
heard about the Three Stooges going into it, and I thought that was like where the best part of the movie was. Like, don't get me wrong, it's such a great powerhouse lead performance from Madison, and I think she'll run away with Best Lead Actress. But I think that movie gets elevated from like, oh, what a great movie, like a character study, with a great lead performance to like, oh, this is just a great, overall movie, period, when the supporting cast is able to be as interesting and compelling as, Igor and these other guys were.
well, yeah, and that kind of speaks to just Sean Baker too, because like the movies that we talked about, just like with Tangerine and his other stuff, like the Florida Project, the man knows how to get these like best, just great characters that you just want to keep watching all the time. And this is
Hmm.
probably the movie I would say I haven't seen his whole catalog, but this is the most movie-like movie that he's made. I don't know if that makes sense, but like it doesn't
I
feel like you're
agree.
just like a camera following around this person all the time, which I mean, there are certain parts of it that definitely still feel like that. And you definitely like you get like the certain actors from his other movies, like the cab driver guy from Tangerine. I like that he showed up in this one. And there's certain things that are like little Sean Baker aspects, but this one truly felt like, oh, you just actually were just a normal movie that the camera goes around a bit, but nothing too like crazy. I don't know how to explain it, but I loved it.
No, I agree. I think this is the most ambitious movie, instead of being this little small town, feeling like we're at real places. I mean, these still look like real places in the movie, but like we're in Vegas and New York, and
Big.
it's a lot more plot heavy
Yeah.
his previous movies are. Like the other ones were just hanging out in Texas, we're hanging out in Orlando, And now this one though is like we got to get to the thing we got to do. Like there's 45 minutes to like establish like who the characters are and set up the situation. And then once the ball gets rolling, it doesn't stop. And it's a long movie, but it doesn't feel like that. It's very
No,
extremely entertaining. I think that the final scene of the movie, the like last moment that we're left on, is so obnoxiously impactful. And I think that, and this is a movie that I think has things to say. I think like the things that it has to say about the ladies of the night. No, I'm kidding. What it has to say about the sex workers,
hmm
how people are just so quick and easy to like devalue them and dehumanize them, and how people feel like they could just use these type of people and don't think that they are like people and have feelings. And also
quite
another,
literally objectifying them.
oh yeah, and I think that that's great, and I think that'll help it in its award race. That's a question
hmm
I want to pose to you. How do you like this movie's Best Picture odds? I mean, clearly it's going to be a contender.
Yeah, and honestly, the only part that scares me is just like the Academy being so much older and things like that, that if they don't want to like buy in to the sex worker story that is more taboo, but I mean at the same time they've embraced other movies in recent memory like Everything Everywhere. So I mean, I can't
Hmm.
really say that they're too prudish and aren't really open-minded, but I'm very hopeful because this movie, I mean, right now, like, I think I still have substance higher, but when I think back to this movie, this might jump back up. And even like Challengers is in the conversation still too, but this is probably the most well-made movie, I would say, like from everything when it comes to just the filmmaking sides of everything, and especially just the story. Like it's so like what I was talking about, how I don't remember shit about Venom. This movie, I think I can almost recall almost everything about it and really, really love all of it.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's great. I that does bring me to another bigger question I want to ask you is what if you had to make a guess right now, a prediction, what's winning Best Picture this upcoming Oscars? What would you like to put your faith in at this current moment? Obviously, I know we haven't seen everything and whatnot.
Gosh darn it,
And
and Letterboxd is not letting me look at my rankings, but honestly, at the top of my dome at this exact moment, hmm,
while you're thinking, I'll make my pitch because my friends have been arguing about it. I have a friend who thinks Amelia Perez. I have a friend who thinks
hmm,
Sonora. I have a friend who thinks the Brutalist. I personally believe myself that the best movie of the year should win Best Picture. It's not my favorite movie of the year, but I think it is the best movie of the year. It's the biggest movie of the year. It's the defining movie of 2024. It's Dune Part Two. You know what I'm saying?
I would love that. Although I think in my head right now, I think it's the other Zendaya movie that I think might could possibly take it too.
Challengers?
I do.
Wow,
Because
I would love for you to be
it was
right. I don't
just
even think it's
so
going to get Best Picture nomination.
I do. I think it's gonna at least get the nomination just because of like they'd always go for like the ones that like impact pop culture, and like that movie was talked about, although it was a while ago, it was talked about so fucking much and people were making so many jokes about it all the time. And I feel like it could possibly have that same repeat of like a Everything Everywhere where like people are just if the conversation, but that's the only bad part is the conversation hasn't really kept going. If they re-release it in theaters, I think it could possibly help it more, but
Hmm.
I think truly in my head that might be my favorite movie at least of like when it comes to like everything coming together as a whole movie, especially like the tennis scenes. I have just stayed in my brain forever, and I think that's some of like the best filmmaking of the year.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's what made me want to rewatch it so much is the score, the way they shoot the tennis. They
Yeah,
make tennis look awesome. And I think it's
yeah.
super impressive when you can make things that really aren't too normally awesome look like spectacular like that.
And people love a good love triangle too.
Yeah, and that three powerhouse performances at the lead. So I like that take. I would rather that win than a lot of other things that are probably
I
going to be
mean,
nominated.
I love the Amelia Perez take. I just don't think that everyone else loves it as much as you and I.
Oh yeah, do you want to transfer over into that one?
I would love to actually, because that what we were talking about Netflix earlier, having a less than an average movies, this one exceeds the fucking pile by a mile. Like I had
Yeah.
no idea this movie really existed. I just randomly was like, "Oh, Zoe Saldana's in a movie," and I saw that Selena Gomez was also in the cast. I was like, "What is this?" And I didn't even look that to see it was a musical. So I was like just fucking in shock for a second when people started singing. I was like, "What?" But the
Yeah.
story is just yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, I saw it at a press screening, and I knew very little
You got to
going
see it in
into
a
it.
theater? I'm
Yep.
so jealous of that experience.
Well, actually, it was bad because it was a
Oh.
press only screening. But there was a guy that was sitting behind me, and his group was kind of being like talkative and rowdy. And the guy started to heckle the movie like out loud. Like the thing my friend specifically heard him say was that the Amelia Perez looks like one of the Wayans brothers in White Chicks and like is like laughing at very like serious moments and whatnot. And that person actually got kicked out because they did a review of Amelia Perez and it was like 15 minutes of him just like rambling and he starts off with a very like ignorant like trans joke and then he like goes on to like have like nothing of quality to say about it. He just kind of says like mildly bigoted things.
Hmm.
And I don't think this was the worst thing in the world. I think the worst thing was disrupting the screening because everyone complained about it.
Yeah.
But the review was also like, you're already a jerk in real life, and on here you're saying like,
You're just, yeah,
things that
you're
could be
doubling down that
offensive.
you're an asshole.
Yeah, exactly. And so they like hit him up about it, the board, and we're like, yeah, that's like rude. Why would you do that? And then he like took it down, put a video up, like a 2 minute review up, where it's like fancy music's playing, he's wearing glasses, he's reading a book, and he's like, "Oh, hello there. Like, I watched Amelia Perez," and he like gives a joking nice review and he like even like has the words on the screen flashes like I was forced to do this and it was like very like sarcastic and undercutting and then they kicked him out, they offered him the chance to appeal, he said no, and then he ended an entire video trashing CACF and
This is
being
why I
like, oh,
got kicked out.
yeah, they're oppressive, they're so woke, these liberals. And
And you'll see me on Rumble
bless him.
next week.
Yeah, yeah, he was kind of a character, and it made me mad as a member, but also like some of the things he did, I was like, this is so cartoonishly like funny. But yeah, well, he's just kind of being like inconsiderate, and so yeah, that's why I didn't have a good time. Sorry, there was a little tea
No, yeah, you're
for you.
good, but that's also like why I'm not like totally sold on the fact that this could even get a Best Picture nomination. It's just because there's so much controversy around just the trans conversation, especially with the fucking president that we're about to get back. So like it's just I hope that this movie gets award nominate consideration at least from people because there's so much great shit going on in here. Like even the screenplay and all of that, it's just the story is so beautiful and complex and I feel like with a lot of people it could get fumbled and be very like I don't know, not as sensitive to the topic because it's a
Mhm.
very, very complex story of this man who lived like a whole life basically as a lie almost to himself, but finally wants to embrace it after he's so deep into this very crazy lifestyle. And it's just so, yeah, it's just an insane story that I feel like a lot of people can probably relate to with having similar experiences. And I feel like it's
Mhm.
a good story to have out there on a large platform. And like I said, I hope it gets award consideration, but in the 2024 that we live in, I just don't put a lot of stock into it, unfortunately.
So you brought up, yeah, the current state that we're in the world. Did you watch the World Series at all?
Not really.
Well, I watched the World Series, and it was one of the most watched World Series in recent MLB history because it was the Dodgers and the Yankees. These are teams that, if you don't even follow baseball, those are the first two teams that you know of, and you see hats of, even if they're not fans of. So this is like a pretty like popular program that we're watching. And the World Series was on Fox. And every single time that they cut to commercial, I saw a political ad villainizing trans people and like
Hmm.
really like making them feel unwelcome and wrong and bad and the problem. And so yeah, it is interesting having a movie like this coming out when like clearly more than half of the country thinks that it's cool to dehumanize these people. And you know what, I because obviously I'm accepting of trans people. I if I was in charge, I would make it completely legal for them to do whatever they want, live your life, live your truth, be happy, be free. But you know, like now I'm like, oh, I'm in the minority now. You know what I mean? What if this is wrong? What if one day we look back and this was all wrong and I was just trying to be nice? But I don't know. The history will be hindsight's 2020. But specifically in this case, with Amelia Perez, um, I think they're a bad person leaving your children like that. That's a bad person. Like I get it. I'm support.
Yeah.
I heard the song. I'm well aware of why Amelia Perez feels the need to do this, you know, operation and whatnot, and you know everything that
Well,
goes with it. But leaving your children like that, like that's like you're a bad parent.
and and I think that's what the movie does so well too, especially with the song of the little girl singing to her and being like, "You smell just like my dad" and shit like that.
Papa,
Like
papa,
that
papa.
that broke my fucking heart because I was like, that's
Yeah.
exactly the thoughts that you have. It's just like I'm doing this for me, but I've already created this whole life that I have to leave behind to do that. So it's like it's all like while you're doing something that is so good for you, it's also going to be so bad for the lives that you've created. So it's like you gotta kind of figure that one out. And that's why it's like I talked about, it's such a complex and just crazy story that it's very sad, but at the same time it's also it's a loving thing at the same time too. Like it's very it doesn't villainize trans people. Like it's very much
Hmm.
it kind of almost shows that like it's such a complex experience that so many people go through quite often that it's very just crazy.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, you know, the movie, I think Amelia Perez, the character, the person is a bad person for not obviously not because they're trans, but because they're like, what, a cartel leader, like a murderer, and
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah.
you know, and then also
Horrible,
being the
horrible
bad
stuff.
parent. But like that's nice that this movie like, you know, showed us a real human being because real human beings are fallible and whatnot. Like I really feel like I got to know Amelia Perez pretty well here as through the eyes of Zoe Saldana. And I do think that this like it's very interesting because we heard all the awards buzz. Ooh, this is gonna be really huge, this is gonna be big. And at all the festivals. And then it comes out and people like regular people are watching it and they're like, oh, when the Asian doctor goes from penis to vagina, like that's so funny. This is so cringy. You know, and then like the type of person who would watch this movie would be like, yeah, all Mexican cartel, you know, drug runners are, you know, trans as well. And I don't know. I think that the ignorant will have a very conspiracy filled time with this. But yeah, I just thought it was a very interesting concept to play with. I think that the idea of making it this operatic musical is super ambitious, and I really like a lot of the songs and the way it's shot, the energy that a lot of the musical numbers have, like El Mal when she's doing her
Yeah.
thing in front of
Yeah,
everybody.
like I thought of it in the movie and I was like, although I probably wouldn't know a lot of what they're talking about in the moment, I would listen to the soundtrack because a lot of the songs are just very well put together.
Mm. And I even think that as you know, someone who's only speaks English fluently, like watching a musical in another language is an interesting experience because you're trying to watch the visuals, see the dancing and the performance and everything, but you're also trying to like catch all the lyrics, and the lyrics are going by so fast. And so like it's kind of like you this or that kind of situation. And so it made it like feel a little bit more riveting.
Yeah,
And
similar to experience like a RRR last year.
yeah, that's actually a great comparison. I recommended that to someone recently. But yeah, I think that all the performances are really great. Selena Gomez is funny. I don't think she's great, but she's She does her
I
job.
think she does pretty well for that character of playing like especially like a scorned, abused wife who kind of just like she has her own demons, but also is just like treated like shit.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like what Amelia Perez does is like an awful thing. Like what's more
Hmm.
important, living your truth or like living honorably and
Yeah.
maintaining the commitment that you've made to the people that you care about.
Yeah, and it honestly, it kind of almost makes me think back to like if people like this kind of thing, I saw the TV Glow kind of pairs interestingly with this, I think, to watch around the same story because they're very different stories talking about very similar issues.
Yeah, it's great that you brought that up because I recently watched We're All Going to the World's Fair uh, because of I saw the TV Glow. That's the director's previous movie. Yeah. And
Gotcha.
I really liked that. And I was like, oh, maybe I judged I saw the TV Glow too harshly because I only gave it like a three, like I didn't get it. And then,
I
but it
think
is like a
rewatch,
movie with a beautiful aesthetic, you know?
yeah, like I found myself really liking that movie, and then when I saw more people talking about I Saw the TV Glow, the more I fell in love with it more and more. Like it's getting different perspectives. I think it almost makes some movies like that that aren't totally like forward with what they're saying all of the time. Like it's very much
Hmm.
almost like a an art piece of a movie. Like if you get it, you get it. If you don't, watch it again and maybe you'll figure it out. And it's that kind of thing. Like it's not going to straight up tell you what's going on at every single moment. But and that's why I laughed at some reviews that I read too about that. But jumping back to Emilia Perez, sorry. It's such a good movie and if you're down, especially if you're a musical person,
Hmm.
push through the subtitles if you're an idiot who doesn't like foreign films, because if you're in for a very good movie, in my opinion, especially when it comes to if you're trying to watch Netflix originals and you're finding yourself just watching bullshit after bullshit, this is above average for sure.
You brought up a modern example that was also a film about the trans community. I want to bring up one as well. I'm like an hour into The People's Joker. Have you heard about that? Has that caught your eye?
I don't think
It's a
so.
parody movie. It's like a DC, like obviously the Joker. It's like based off the Joker, but it's someone telling the coming of age of them becoming trans and that eye-opening experience
Oh,
that is. And they
I
got
think I've
sued, or like they were gonna get sued. It's like a parody, like they're in trouble, but it looks like shit. Like the movie's like clearly super low budget, which makes it endearing.
yeah, I think I might have heard of it, but I don't know much about it because that concept sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's not very good, but if it ever came on your radar, I'd recommend it just to like curiosity. But yes, we do have to pick up the pace.
Yes,
Um,
sir.
so let's touch on fuck. Let's
I
touch
don't think
on
we
Red
have too
One.
much more. Yeah,
Well,
red
yeah,
one
because
is
the
ass.
Red
Don't watch it.
One.
It's easy. It's an easy one to push through. I don't know why Dwayne The Rock Johnson said the shit he did about the fucking Oppenheimer shit, because holy shit. Like I wanted to like this movie.
Funny.
I wanted to like this movie so much more than I did truly. Like I think I still gave it like a 3 star, but that was me being very generous and feeling like in the Christmas spirit because I saw this at a early screening too because they did the whole IMAX screening the Saturday or I think it was either
Oh, you saw
Sunday
it
or
before me
before.
then.
Yeah. And like and I thought it was like I went and like the stuff like I enjoy right now in this moment, I will firmly say with Claus and with this, J.K. Simmons is my Santa. And I think the Santa stuff in this movie is by far that and the Krampus stuff, the Krampus effects, I will give this team their props. Krampus looked awesome in this movie. And the
Yeah,
little
I that
monsters that they
yes.
made. I
Yes, I'm on your
yes,
side.
I loved all of that stuff. And the stuff of Santa like going into the houses, I think that would be fun for kids to like,
Like
oh, see that's
Ant-Man.
how well yeah, see that's how Santa gets into my house and blah blah blah. Cause like my niece almost said something the other day. She's like, how does Santa get into your apartment? Because I live in a 2 bedroom apartment with my older brother now. So they come and stay with us on the weekends. And she's like, how does Santa get in here? And we're like, he uses the front door. What are you talking about? Like he goes to all the other
Yeah.
apartments in the building.
No, I'm definitely being super cynical about it. I hated Red One. It's one of the worst movies of the year. I think it's corporate garbage. I agree the practical effects were nice and the makeup was nice, sure. I think the jokes are stupid. I think the lead performances are terrible. I think that it's obnoxiously unfunny. I think it's lacking in any kind of actual genuine heart. I think the action is ugly. I think the effects are ugly. I think that this movie just breeds lack of passion. I hate it. I hate this movie. One
Yeah,
out of five.
I wouldn't say I hate it, but it also is one of those movies that I can think back in my head, and the exact thought I had was, who is this really made for? Because like it's not little kid enough. Like there's more adult things in here that like I wouldn't necessarily show this to my 7-year-old niece right away. Because some of it might freak her out a little bit. I don't know. But at the same time, like it's not really made for adults that much either, because it's also so fucking stupid and they do so many like immature jokes that it's like truly I don't know what they were shooting for because it wasn't a kids movie. It wasn't even necessarily a family film. It was just a nothing fucking movie. Like it's a
Yeah.
Christmas money grab.
I love Garcia though, the polar bear guy. That was my favorite character.
Yeah, like in a movie where The Rock is all over the marketing, he's by far the worst fucking person in the whole movie. He's just The Rock in a fucking elf costume. And it's not even a funny elf costume. That would have been more endearing than what he's wearing.
I think if you asked what Dwayne The Rock Johnson why Jumanji and Jumanji 2 were successes and this wasn't, I think he wouldn't be able to give you the correct answer. Which they're trying to do the same thing, right? It's the same team, right? The
Yeah.
difference is that in Jumanji, The Rock was playing a character. You know, he
Well,
acted. He was doing
he
a
was
performance.
he was the straight man too. He wasn't really carrying everything. Like the goofiness was in the hands of Kevin Hart and Jack Black.
Well, he's very goofy, you know, in Jumanji. Like he's acting like a nerdy little teenage boy the whole time, but
Oh, I
he's this
forgot.
big
Yeah.
buff guy.
And
Like the whole
he's
body
also an
switching
old man
stuff
in
is
the
super
second
fun.
one.
Yeah, exactly. And he does a great job there. I think those are two of his best no joke, two of his best performances ever.
Yeah.
And so here he's just playing The Rock, and there's nothing cool about The Rock. And then Chris Evans is just being like a jerk, and he's not funny and he's not cool, and I don't even think he's hot in this. So who is he like? Who is this for?
Yeah, exactly. It's a mystery truly because it's not good.
Yeah, it's bad. And then here's another thing, actually. I'm gonna rip into it. It's a new one. So who is it for box office wise? Let's think about this, right? Because the week after was Glicked, right? So you're definitely not going to get women, like older women, or even really younger women. You're not going to because like Red One feels like a teenage boy kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely not girl centric very much at all. Lucy Liu's on the poster, but like she's not part of the team. She's not on the adventure. She's not doing anything. So besides the fact that it's about Christmas, what are girls like? What about this movie is orchestrated for girls? And then Gladiator has all the adult men. So now all you have is young men below the age of 17, and you can't bring like anyone lower than like 10 to go see this. There's a lot of
No.
swearing and stuff. So 10 to 7, no, sorry, 10 to 16-year-old boys, that's who this movie is for.
And those boys will more than likely just tag along with their fathers to go see Gladiator 2.
And a
So
lot of that
truly,
happened, yeah.
yeah, so truly it's for no one. And yeah, it's not anything like it's like one of those things. And I think I said it to my brother. I was like, it's not gonna be a movie I watch on Christmas at all, but like if someone's like, "Hey, we're gonna turn this on because it's on TBS," I'm like, whatever. It can be background noise, but I'm not gonna actually watch it because it's yeah, it's very boring. Like the Krampus scene, I'll probably flip on YouTube or something because some of that is cool, but
Oh, the
also
slap game, I think
Krampus.
that's the most immature. Like
Not
I
even the
hate
slap
games
game. I'm
like
just
that.
talking about just like the actual like just Krampus showing up and everything and having the conversation with Santa and stuff like that part's cool.
Oh, fair.
Like just the makeup I think is really amazing, but like to actually watch the whole movie, it's just not gonna probably happen.
Did you know Dwayne Johnson was paid 50 million, which makes him the highest paid actor for any singular movie ever?
I didn't, but it makes me angry that you told me.
And then also, this is supposed to be a straight to streaming movie, but they fought to have this go to theaters.
That I 100% believe. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to even like if someone told me that right when the movie ended, I'm like, yeah, and it should have been because you just wasted 2 hours of my life and an hour driving to this movie theater.
Mhm. I love how the main obvious joke of the movie is how Santa's like this like ripped like workaholic t cool tough guy Santa, like that's kind of the joke, and it's funny because haha Santa's usually like supposed to be fat and jolly and whatnot, and this guy's like ripped and like lifting like weights, and then at the end of the movie Chris Evans literally like looks you in the eyes and goes, "Isn't it weird how in shape he is?" And it's like, yes, that's the joke, the entire joke of the movie, Chris. Thank you for explaining that to me.
I love J.K. Simmons though. He's a Detroit man.
Fair. I like him. I just didn't like this movie at all. But yeah, 1 out of 5. Glicked. Which one did you like more? Actually, I could see which one you like more. Ooh.
I think might have rated them about the same. I think I actually went 5 for Wicked and 4.5 for Gladiator. I probably dropped Gladiator to a 4 at this point. I love Wicked though. I never that Wicked is something that has been out of my reach for so long, and I've been waiting for it because so little backstory for me. My mom and I have wanted to see Wicked for many years, and it gets advertised on local television all the time because they literally do it yearly at the local at Michigan State University. They literally like the tour comes through there all the time every year, and the tickets
Mm,
are like over $100 because it's like a Broadway show. And
mm,
being poor Steve from Michigan can't afford $100 tickets,
mm,
especially when he's 10 years old and his mom's raising 3 children.
mm.
So when it finally made into a movie, I had to take my mom right away to go see it. So I think with those rose-colored glasses on it, I just adored it, and I want to go watch it again in a theater because it's been stuck in my head. Like I've literally been listening to like Defying Gravity almost every morning while I'm getting ready for work.
No, yeah, all the music's really stuck in my head. We spoke earlier before we started how you like the movie versions more, and I like the Broadway soundtrack versions more. I think that that's interesting.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably will disagree with me and I might get some hate, but it's just what I feel. I don't know. Like Adina Menzel, I think I've heard her just a little bit too much in Frozen, and I haven't ever seen Rent or anything like that, so I'm not really like extremely familiar with her, but I don't know. I just love Cynthia Erivo a lot. Ariana Grande is
Hmm.
good too, but especially Cynthia Erivo, I think is by far the main star of that movie, and I think both of them did really well, but I just
See,
love
I think
Cynthia
we're on the
Erivo's
opposite
voice
ends
too.
there too, because I think Ariana Grande stole the show, especially with her physical comedic acting. And I thought, like, don't get me wrong, like Cynthia Erivo is like great, but like if someone stole the show, so clearly, actually, clearly, you're the Elphaba and I
I'll
am the
gladly be
Glinda
Elphaba in this
in the
situation.
situation. Yeah, me too, me too.
I'm over here in my fucking West Side winter.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I should be surprised by Ariana Grande doing such a great job because she is so funny and victorious. Like that's how she first really got her start.
Truly,
Um,
yeah, she is by far the comedic part of that movie, and she's hilarious at multiple moments where I was laughing. Like, don't get me wrong, even though I love Cynthia Erivo, she is still fantastic. But I think especially in the singing moments, I think I was just expecting it more from Ariana Grande because I'm more familiar with her singing, but I don't know.
I will say the one thing, it's like a 2 hour and 40 minute long movie. I never felt like it was dragging. I was constantly
No.
interested and engaged with what was going on. I thought the music was all really good. I think that the Dancing with Life, that like clock spinning th set that they did, I thought that was wonderful. I think that the effects were good. I was surprised how much the animals were in it. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
that was a big deal here, you know?
Yeah, I am very curious. I actually have the first book of Wicked too that I might start dipping my fingers into because apparently there's multiple books in the story of this shit too that I'm not really familiar with any of it, but I'm very
Well,
curious because yeah, I'm Wicked coded for sure now.
one thing I did want to take your opinion on is a lot of people are upset about the cinematography, about the lighting, that like a lot of it looks washed out, looks like way too like real. like the realistic look. And, it's a fantasy movie. It's in the Oz. We want it to look like flashy and crazy. But like it kind of feels like, whereas Oz the Great and Powerful is a very like green screeny, special effects heavy, like
Mhm.
fantastic. This is world looks like, it's a live action Tim Burton movie. Whereas this feels like, Wicked feels,
Kind of like a stage play in a way. And I feel like they almost did it a little
yeah.
bit more on purpose because, I mean, from right away, the opening, they wanted it to look like Wizard of Oz. So I don't know if they might have taken the washing out and everything to kind of give it that more like 20s feel to it or 30s feel to it or whatever. I can't remember when the other came out, but whatever.
Mhm.
But I feel like I don't know if it was kind of to give it that same type of look. I'm not sure, but I never necessarily even noticed it on my first viewing, maybe just because I was just looking past it, but I never really saw any issues. Like I specifically liked that a lot of things were it was a balance of practical and CGI, but I enjoyed that there were a bit more ideas to the practical stuff and
Mhm.
the flying monkey shit looked pretty cool to me too. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was very excited at that moment.
I agree with people's sentiment that the visuals, like from a cinematography standpoint, could be better. Because it's not like this is the type of movie where like, oh, I want to like frame, every frame a painting kind of situation. And I do side with the people that are like, oh, I want it to look more fantastical and unreal. Like that's kind of the point. Like you're like, oh, you mean it looks like a stage play? And it's like, well, we have the stage play. We want the movie version. Give me
Yeah.
a crazy, fun, hell, do it animated. I don't care. Just, something, you know, that looks fantastical. Because a lot of this movie does not look very fantastical at all.
And
But
that's
I
yeah. Sorry, I was just saying I fully get that, but I feel like it was also like almost intentional to make it look like the stage play from John Chu's perspective because I feel like you'd also get those fucking people at the end of the day that'd be like, "Oh, this doesn't even look like the stage play. You're trying to make it a different thing than what I want it to be and blah blah blah." So you're gonna get that at the end of the day too, I feel like if you go too far to make it look like Oz being this mythical place that it truly should be, and I do agree with that. I feel like that's probably why anyway. I'm giving an explanation for John Chu anyway.
No, I think that's fair. It's definitely a safe option. But yeah, I really, really like this movie. I think that the ending, like, here's my take. If they ended it there, like, we never got another Wicked movie, if this was the end of Wicked, I would be like, okay, cool. Like, it was the story of these two sisters or like friends that became, like super tight, had this tight bond, and then like were torn apart. Like, I want to see the second half of the story, but it's not like I'm like, like what a cliffhanger. How am I gonna know? And the way this movie ends, like with Defying Gravity being such a huge, awesome, big number, it definitely leaves people off on a high note. And I think that's why we're getting
That's
a lot of love for it, from people. Like
that's
people think it
exactly
should
what
win
I
Best
was
Picture.
saying. I don't necessarily think that. I do absolutely adore the movie, and I was itching for the continuation, but at the same time, like I told my mom, I was like, although I know that the sequel is coming next year, this movie ended well enough and not like on a huge cliffhanger to where like if part two somehow never came out, I wouldn't be upset because like it's a
Mhm.
good enough ending to where like even if the story ended right there and it's like and that's why she's wicked, it's like okay, that's fine. I was like, I understand. She turned into an asshole because everyone treated her like complete shit all the fucking time. So I'm like, of course,
Mhm.
she is validated. I love Alphaba. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Like I said, I adore the movie. I gave it 5 stars. I want to see it again in theaters. If they release it as a sing along, I'll probably go to that too, even though I don't really want to hear other people sing. But that's probably when I'll take my niece because then she can just do whatever.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah. Oh, that's the one thing I want to talk about. So Cynthia Erivo, I think, is a jerk because she came out and she said that people could sing in theaters. So did The Rock. I think both of them are dumb and silly. Like
Yeah,
that's the
no.
whole point of the sing-along showing. Like just
Like
go see it with a sing-along or watch
I
it at
love
home.
Cynthia Erivo, but like John Chu specifically, the director of the movie, said no. So you should just go with your director and say, wait for the sing-along version. I think he said it was releasing on Christmas or something like that. I'm like, It's literally like a few weeks away. Just let people watch the movie first, please.
Yeah, I think it's
Like, I get it. I
ridiculous.
get it. You listen to the soundtrack or you saw it on Broadway, but we don't want to hear your fucking failed stage actress kid fucking singing in the theater when we have the other people who didn't fail as stage actors actually sing the fucking songs.
Yeah, no, I completely echo your sentiment here. I think singing in a theater is ridiculous. But yeah, no, Wicked, very good, good Wicked. Gladiator, also good. I think significantly not as good, even though I gave both fours, but I gave Wicked a heart and I didn't give Gladiator a heart.
Yeah, I think I need to watch Gladiator further away than when I watched Gladiator 1 because I literally watched it morning before.
Me too.
And I think I might have been just having too much nostalgia glasses on. But that being said, I think Ridley Scott still directed a hell of an action movie, and it was still, while it was very heavily like relying on the first movie with its story, I don't know, I still really enjoyed it. I'd never really like I'm very far behind on the Paul Mescal train or whatever. I've not really seen any of his other work yet,
Oh, After
but
Sun
I
or
haven't
All the
seen it, no.
Strangers.
Mm-mm.
Whoa, those are big ones in the indie
Yep.
community.
Yep. That's why I was like, I know he's a popular name, but like, I enjoyed him in this. I don't think he was the best person in this. My favorite by far was Denzel Washington being just a fucking character of a villain. And I felt like truly he was just having a fucking ball playing this character. Like, it was like echoing similar to like how he kind of just went all loose with fucking Training Day. I feel like this was like the first time where you truly get like a villainous Denzel in a while, where it's just he's just having so much fun doing evil shit. But Pedro was good too. I love a good Pedro Pascal, but the action was by far the highlight of the movie. The story was whatever. I still very much like if you compare it to the first movie, it doesn't even mark up close to it because that first movie is just so fucking good. Like I never realized, like I rewatched it the morning of and I was like, holy shit. Like I think I had it like a 3.5 to a 4, and I was like, why did I have it so low? Because this movie is incredible. I really the first one is great, but this one is still it's a valuable sequel. Like it's not where you have things that are like so reliant on nostalgia bait like Beetlejuice earlier this year. I feel like this one stands alone a bit.
Uh-huh. No, so I'll say this about Gladiator 2. I watched Gladiator 1 the night before. I loved it. I think Gladiator 1's great. I think it's great, and especially in its simplicity and its lead villain performance in Joaquin Phoenix,
Yeah.
which while I like the performance that Denzel Washington's giving, Denzel's really kind of playing Denzel, and Joaquin Phoenix is doing something, actually special, I think. So while Denzel's fun, I think that, is like an all-time iconic villain. I like that there's two emperors in this one. It's a
Hmm.
sequel, twice as much, and what they do with that is cool. I wish that the plot with the emperors was like done earlier in the film because once it starts happening, like things are already starting to wrap up, and it's like, oh, but
Yeah.
this is what's interesting. And yeah, because none of the narrative interested me at all. The thing that I was most excited about this movie is the updated special effects because everyone complains about the tiger in the first one. So here we had like, they filled up with water and there's sharks and they're doing like a sea fight, which is ridiculous. People are going to get hit with arrows. How did they not like anticipate that that would happen? And then also, how do they do that? Not to be the guy that's like watching this being like, oh, how is that scientifically possible? But seriously, how did they get the sharks in there? Like
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. And the fights with like the demon baboons and the demon what is a rhino, a guy riding a rhino. Do you remember the movie 3000 BC or 30,000 BC?
Think it's 10,000 BC or something. I know about it, but I never
Hmm.
watched it.
But you've seen that poster, right? And you've seen the
Yeah,
Blu-ray
yeah, yeah.
commercial where he fights the saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah, like it literally like on Xbox 360 at one point, it was like available to have as like your background when you turned on your Xbox, and that's literally what mine was for years. I never saw the movie. I just thought the
Well,
picture was cool.
here's the thing. I promise you the movie's bad, but looks like the coolest movie I've ever seen in my life. Like, I
Yeah.
want more of that. That's what I want this whole thing to be like. I just want to see you fight CGI version of animals in here. I want to see a big fight between a rhino and this and whatever. Like, all of that was really ridiculous and fun. And I think that's when the movie really shines. Everything else is like I like Paul Mescal. I like, I didn't need Pedro Pascal here. I think he's done this before.
Yeah. The one thing I will give the movie to that I was scared that they were going to do is like similar to a lot of movies lately where you're making a legacy sequel and you fucking do like and I was like, oh, they keep doing these like dream sequence things where like he's seeing like the people that died. I was like, I swear to God, if they bring Russell Crowe back for a fucking dream sequence thing, I'm gonna be so pissed if they try to do like a CGI like younger Russell Crowe. I was like, just leave him alone. Don't bring him back for this. And they didn't. And I was very happy that they didn't.
Yeah, no, no, no. They didn't do anything
Restraint
like
was held.
offensive to the first one. Like I said, I just think that this doesn't need to exist. It existed, and that's fine. And I had a good time. And I think that there's a lot of I mean, Ridley Scott's like a very competent director, and there's a lot of competent actors here. But this is really nothing really to write home about. I feel like at all. It's good. It's really good.
If you're a fan of the first Gladiator movie and you want just a good, fun action thing in the movies, it checks most of the boxes. Is it a great story? Not really. It continues the story well. It doesn't like, and it's not blasphemous to its original, which is always a good thing, but other than that, like it's not a necessary continuation or anything. Like it's just a fine movie.
Yeah, this Thanksgiving season, my go-to recommendation for people has been Wicked, and then Gladiator, and then Moana. I do not like Moana. Obviously, things like Nora, I've been recommending over that, and then a movie you watched today, called Real Pain.
Yes, sir.
How'd you feel about that?
I really, really enjoyed that movie. It brought up some complicated feelings for me,
Hmm.
having a cousin who passed away recently, and then the story being about that kind of relationship. It was a very unexpected because I really didn't know anything about it other than it was a Jesse Eisenberg directed movie, but I thought all of it was done very well. The one thing I want to give the most props to is how we talked about some of these other movies looking so not well. This movie truly has frames in it where like I would hang them in my house as art. Like they just looked like amazing. Just like parts of buildings and different things like that, and just the way he framed certain things, like when they were on top of the roof and you see like the backside of the neon sign and things like that. Like I loved all these different places that it takes you throughout the movie and the emotions that it takes you through with just these two cousins having such a complicated relationship that you can tell from the beginning, but you only get certain snippets here and there, and you kind of just have to live with them for a while. And at certain parts, you kind of like see where like, oh, I like Kieran Culkin a bit here, but he is an asshole and shit like that. Like it's a very interesting story, and I think it's a really good indie comedy drama in a way, but I haven't seen any of Jesse Eisenberg. I know he did a movie a couple years ago that I don't feel like people really liked that much. I didn't see it, but I think this one was done quite well.
Yeah, I really like this movie. I think one thing that bothers me about it is everyone's talking about Kieran Culkin for Best Supporting Actor, and it's like the movie's called A Real Pain. He's the real pain. The whole movie's about him hanging out with, the other guy. Like it's the two of them. They're the
Mhm.
co-leads of this movie. So I think it's kind of ridiculous that he's going to run away with Best Support in a year where Best Supporting Actor is like such a competitive race. It's crazy that he's going to get away with the lead performance getting counted as supporting, but whatever, not my job, you know what I mean? Like I would even accept
Yeah.
my friend likes Josh O'Connor to be nominated for supporting actor, and I'm like, well, he's kind of the lead, but whatever, even that, like at least it's between three people instead of here, it's literally just between two people, and he is the title character. I mean, in Challengers, they are the challengers, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the only thing that I could possibly give it is just like I feel like we do follow Jesse Eisenberg just a slight bit more, but it's got to be like minutes. It's not like a significant amount of time. Because like there are moments where like he leaves in the hotel and shit, and you don't see him for a while, and like he walks away, and Jesse has the whole monologue in the restaurant and things like that. Like he has main character moments, but so does Kieran's. I mean, you can have an argument for both, but I honestly, I mean, do I think he's like a full-on like supporting actor? No, but I could see the argument, is what I'm saying.
And the thing that because I'm at a 4 out of 5 with this one, the thing that keeps
Same.
me from a 5 out of 5, like one of the best movies of the year should be nominated for Best Picture, is I'm not super impressed. Like it's a good movie. It feels like a Woody Allen. I brought it up to like a Richard Linklater type movie. We're just hanging out,
Yeah.
walking through a European city, talking about like how we feel and how we see the world. But here like no one did anything that's like whoa like I can't believe Jesse Eisenberg did that with the camera. I can't believe Jesse Eisenberg played Jesse Eisenberg. I can't believe Kieran Culkin played Kieran Culkin. Like it was very familiar stuff for everybody involved. So like while I think it is very good and above average, I'm just not like wow, this is one of the most, impressive like 5 stars. This is one I'm going to rewatch over and over again.
Yeah.
Um but it is very good. It has a lot of personality. There's a lot of electric scenes in this movie, and Kieran Culkin is really great. I'm just saying he's not supporting.
Yeah. Yeah, and although it's probably not everyone's experience, I did cry a few times during the movie, but I think like it's just personal more to me,
Mhm.
but
No, and it's
very
connecting
good
with a lot
movie.
of people, and I agree. I think it's very good. It's one of my because like I really want 10 movies to be 5 out of 5 for me this year. Like it's like really important to me. So like that's one of them where I'm like maybe I could reconsider and bump it up.
While I gave it a 4 out of 5, I would never tell someone they were wrong to ever give it a 5 out of 5 because it is a movie that I feel like could be very connecting to a lot of people and have a lot of emotions attached to it. So
Oh yeah, I
yeah, I
completely
wouldn't
agree.
say it's like perfect by any means, but like I said, I truly really enjoyed a lot of the different frames throughout the movie. I think it was just I think Jesse had a little bit of fun, just kind of almost like, and some of it even looked like I would like take a still shot of that because I would just really liked it. But
Hmm. I do because we just talked about Glickid. I do have some updated scores for you. So I was doing the math before we started here today. Gladiator 2 topped out at a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I think it's currently at 118, 116 million domestically and counting. So you're good to go there. So 71 points confirmed. And then your last pick in the draft last year was fucking Wicked.
I
And it,
don't
it
know
got
how.
89% and it made 100 million in its opening weekend. So
Yeah.
great job. That adds a significant amount of points to you. So you are now currently at 482. And you have Sonic 3 left. You have also Saw 11, which I don't know if that's a real movie, man.
Yeah, I keep hearing about it, but like I haven't seen any. You would think a trailer would have came out or something by now if it was really gonna happen, but yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen.
Well, I have Ballerina, so that I also have a movie that didn't end up coming out this year. But you have Sonic 3 left and you're at 482. Joker officially did not make 100 million domestically. I think it topped out at like 58 million. So that was 32 points that I do not get. And then
I'm
I get
IMDb has Saw listed as a 2025 movie now, so that is officially eliminated.
well, next year you get drafted. And then yeah, I have Mufasa, which I would need Sonic 3 to either get 0% on Rotten Tomatoes or not make 100 million domestically. And then if that happens and Mufasa does make 100 million domestically, remember, and it's got to be during that, before January 1st. So we have like a week or two to like make this happen. Mufasa needs to get a 96% for me to tie you. And then anything above that to win. Hey, buddy, Barry Jenkins, Oscar winner, directed mine, buddy.
You
Okay.
know, I am so hopeful that that's a good movie, but I'm just not sold. Because like
Yeah.
I'm interested in seeing what this story really is because I don't really know anything about like I didn't know that Mufasa was an orphan, I guess, until recently when I saw the trailer, but
He was never an orphan. This movie just made that up. And I
that's
can't
what I was
stop
wondering.
singing.
I haven't watched the original Lion King in a long time. I was like, is he an orphan? I was like, I didn't fucking know that.
No, specifically in the movie, he's like, yeah, we come from a long lineage. There's our ancestors in the sky. Like, that's kind of the whole point. No, this movie's stupid. It looks ugly. I'm very interested in it, but I hate it with all my heart.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, so just comparing to last year, I would need 14 plus 60. I would need 75 points from Mufasa to get my score from this year to tie or to beat last year's score for me. You've already beaten my last year's score, and you would need. It's physically impossible. You would need 18 plus 18, that's 36. So you need 136 points to catch yourself in 2022.
Damn. Just out of
But
curiosity, what are the Rotten Tomatoes of the last two Sonics, if you could look that up for me?
yes, I
Just to
can.
see what kind of ballpark we're in, because I can't remember. I know they're not low, but
But I would like to say officially, because congratulations, you are the king of this game. I don't know why I suck at it so bad, but we are going to next episode. We got to do our draft.
perfect. Well, and out of curiosity, how did you said you did this game with people at work too? How did that go for you?
Oh, yes. Let me. Well, it's not over because I think that I have my buddy, like me and I have Mufasa in that league too, and my buddy has Sonic, and we're like tight, so it's like gonna be interesting. And then I think,
Yeah.
but we're both like 100 points behind the first place guy who had like Wicked and Beetlejuice and a
Oh
few
yeah.
other like big things like they Inside Out 2 like they really I think they had Joker 2 which is the only thing that didn't succeed but everything else was like a stupid good hit, you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
The second Sonic had a 69% of Rotten Tomatoes and
That's about right.
the first Sonic had 64%. It's much higher from audiences but critics, yeah, you're looking at like a barely fresh type situation here.
I thought the first one
Uh,
might have a little bit more, but who knows? Maybe
but
this third one, Jim Carrey's playing two roles. You never know.
Oh yeah, no, that's like the only reason I'm excited about it is Jim Carrey. But yeah, no, I'm very excited for our game next year. I do that with my work staff now. They enjoy doing it. So we're gonna do that again next year. More of my staff is joining, so that's nice. And then I'm doing one with my boys in my group chat. You know Zach, right?
Hmm.
So me, him, and Joe and Adam, we're doing one where it's like box office plus awards, like excuse me, we're just gonna draft like 10 movies. It's like an auction draft. So we're doing a whole thing with that. But yes, our next episode, which will definitely be before January 1st, we're going to do our draft for next year. And you get to go first, right? Like, because you won, at least I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right to
That
me.
sounds right to me.
Because yeah, you got
Yeah.
I think you took Deadpool 3 and then you allowed me to take Dune Part 2, which was very nice of you. Because I had Dune
Yeah.
Part 2 the previous year and it didn't
Yeah.
work. So, and I will be a gentleman. If you want Saw 11 at your 10th pick, I will allow you to do that.
You know, I might, because those Saw movies, they have some magic to them.
Yeah, but I want Ballerina. Okay, buddy. That's mine. Okay.
That's fair
I
enough.
invested in it. Actually, yeah, we just automatically get those at our 10th spot of the year.
I'm cool with that.
I mean, it makes sense because I took Ballerina at the second to last, and you took Saw 11 as your third pick. So,
I was just really excited, I think.
well, the Jigsaw, no, it's not Jigsaw. What was it? It was Saw X was like a
Saw
huge
X was
hit.
Saw X had a good Rotten Tomato score too.
Yeah, so I don't blame you too much, but well, clearly I don't blame you at all because clearly you are the authority on
Yeah,
this
I
exact subject.
apparently
Okay.
I know something, but I really don't. I'm just good at guessing.
And you decidedly beat me every time. Like it's not like oh it was a
Yeah, it's not
two-digit
100 points.
margin.
Yeah.
Like yeah, it's 100 plus points every single time. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to be close here because I think Mufasa, because what, I'm 96 points behind. I think Mufasa will end up with a higher Rotten Tomatoes score than Sonic because I mean, clearly the Disney's bulletproof, and
It's true.
Sonic they like to keep them in the 60s. So I think that Mufasa can get in the 70s, and then I'm only 80 points down.
Hey, ain't too bad.
But I'm excited. I'm so excited. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about movie wise, real quick before
Not that I can, not that I can really recall. I think the next movie I'm seeing personally is I think I have a ticket to Y2K on Saturday, so I'm excited for that one. I love
Oh, I
Kyle
chose A
Mooney.
Complete Unknown yesterday over Y2K, or else I would have saw it.
Dang, but why too? But Paul, have you seen Brigsby Bear?
No, I need to though. I need to, and I
Yeah,
will watch that this
I
week.
that is my if I have any recommendations this week, that is mine because I love that movie. It's on my Vudu, so you got no
Yeah, I had a
excuses.
buddy, a coworker, recommended to me a longest time ago, and I never got to it. But now that it's
I've
refreshed in
owned
my
it
mind, it's
for
this guy.
years and I have not like I just for some reason turned it on when I was riding the other day and I was like, holy shit. Mark Hamill's in
Hmm.
it too. So there's that.
Yeah, I know. It's definitely one I will catch because I'm very excited for Y2K. I think like it has a lot of personality and seems like a fun concept.
Dude,
Um,
I like everything about it, especially the fact that they got fucking Fred
Tom
Durst in
Thompson.
it from Limp
Oh.
Bizkit. That cracked
Mhm.
me up. I was like, hell yeah. I was like, it's perfect Y2K people.
Yeah, I think it looks like a whole lot of fun. And honestly, I would have rather seen that than I did Queer, A Complete Unknown, and Baby Girl tonight. So I'd rather see that than all these. But just to rattle off some, I'm sure we'll talk about some, if not all these, in a future episode. I love Nosferatu. I thought Queer was all right. It's more art house stuff. So if you like that kind of stuff, you'd like it more. That Christmas is an animated Netflix movie from Richard Curtis, the guy who did Love Actually, and it's really cute actually. I thought it was really sweet. I did Spellbound. That's a musical on Netflix that's with Rachel Zegler.
Uh-huh.
I think that movie is comparable, if not better, than Moana 2.
Hmm.
And not saying it's that great. I'm just saying that it's just as good. And no one will see it. Um, just to keep rattling off a few, the Wallace and Gromit movie, Vengeance Most Foul. That's not going to come out until January. I really, 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 really like that. I thought that was really fun. Actually, that might be in competition for my best animated movie of the year, outside of Transformers, obviously. Dear Santa, I think you would have fun with that. It feels like, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I
you
saw it
should.
on I have Prime on my or I have Paramount Plus on my Amazon Prime, so I have it on there in my watch list, but I just haven't watched it yet.
Yeah, it's the 13-year-old boy in me kind of like, was like, all right, this is fun. Like for that audience, it would be a good time. And so if you grew up
I think I
loving Jack Black,
commented
you
on I
like
think
it.
I commented on your letterbox review and I was like, "Oh my God, you loved a Farley Brother movie."
I love Dumb and Dumber, so it's just been a long time. But yeah, Moana 2, I gave 3 stars to, but I think is bad. Jackpot, that's really bad. That's Paul Feig with John Cena
John
and
Cena, yeah.
Awkwafina. Bad movie. I rewatched Joker 2. I actually really like that.
I saw
Juror
Ricky
number,
S- I saw Ricky Snicky finally. Speaking of John Cena, I really
oh,
enjoyed it.
that's one
You
of my
told me
favorite
about it a
comedies
long
of the
time
year.
ago. Yeah, I fucking loved it. It was so funny.
I love when he's like at the business meeting and he's like, and he goes
Yeah.
to the guy, and he's like, "What did you just do?" And he goes, "Oh, I was just saying fuck you to
So fuck you to
Billingsley."
that guy. So
And
yeah, yeah,
he's
fuck
like,
you,
"Yeah,
Billings.
fuck you, man."
Yeah, that shit cracks me up so many times.
Talk about liking a Farley Brothers movie. I thought that
Yeah.
was hilarious. Nutcrackers is not very good. It's a Ben Stiller like Christmas sad
Hulu, yeah.
comedy. Oh yeah, sorry, Hulu. Juror number 2. That's Clint Eastwood's probably last movie. It's actually a really great fictional concept, and I think that they explore it pretty well.
Nicholas
Nicholas
Holt,
Holt,
right? Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So I recommend that's like kind of your classic movie. Janet Planet, I did not connect with. Really art house indie.
I'll say I've never even heard of that one.
A Different Man, I rewatched. That's my favorite movie of the year. Couldn't recommend it more. Between the Temples, that's Jason
Oh
Schwartzman.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
I
actually
didn't
really
see
like
it,
that one
but
too. Carol Kane's in it, and it's really like sweet and funny and real. The Room Next Door, that's Pedro Almodovar's first English movie, I believe, with
yeah,
Tilda
yeah.
Swinton and Julianne Moore. I thought that was all right. I think it got more interesting at the end, and I was like, well, I kind of like to keep going with this, like this
They're
part of it.
still they're playing the trailer here still, but I still haven't got that in the theater yet.
Yeah, it's good. It's all right. Hundreds of Beavers. You would love that movie. Watch it, please. It's on Amazon Prime. It's
I'm
all
about
the
to say I've seen
rage.
it advertised, but I haven't watched it yet.
No, it's like a silent film. So make sure it's something you keep your eyes on.
Hmm.
But it's so funny. It's so that if you love stuff with like the independent spirit and like how did they do that? And it is so much fun, has so much personality, and is so efficient. And it's just a hilarious movie. I honestly I want to give that one a 5, but I'm being like conservative.
Speaking of one we forgot about, actually, Heretic. I enjoyed that movie. Pretty crazy. Went in pretty predictable directions, but especially the characters that are created, especially with frickin' Hugh Grant playing this like very like weird villainous guy. I
Hmm.
love Hugh Grant has a charm to him where I really just love what he does, but this almost felt like his version of like a crazy James McAvoy in a way. Like he was just kind of got to be a little bit unhinged, especially with the shit he was saying. Like referencing Jar Jar Binks amongst all of the religious talk cracked me up so fucking hard.
Yeah, he was like a consensual jigsaw. You know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
polite jigsaw.
Dude, when I left the theater, I saw it with my family, like my parents and my older brother. And my dad, his kept having like recently, there have been people that have come like Mormon wise to the house and stuff like that, trying to convert him, basically like bringing Bibles and stuff. And he like, well, after the movie ended, he's like, you know what? It was crazy, but he had some good points. And I was like, chill, dude. I was like, he's gonna fucking kidnap Mormons.
Yeah, I almost loved that movie, but I kept it at a four. I thought it was really great. A lot of the ideas they were talking about. I could hear Hugh Grant monologue for days. I echo everything you
Hmm.
say about him, especially in his villain roles recently.
Yeah, and it was really funny to see, like, as we talked about him earlier, Topher Grace in a little tiny role too, of being the guy who was looking for the girls from the church or whatever.
Yeah, I thought that was a good red herring because it was Topher Grace that made me believe that it was. Sorry, my ears hurting. It made me believe that he was gonna have a bigger role and more to do, but
Yeah, that was
but he wasn't.
disappointing.
But yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It got me good. But yeah, I really like that one. I'm realizing going through this now, I have so many. I'm just gonna reduce it to the thumbs up or down from Gladiator, The Outrun, Better Man, the Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, Rob Peace, um, Meet Me Next Christmas. That's a Netflix one that's really bad. Thelma, very good. Hot Frosty, very dumb, but Craig Robinson's a funny cop in that, so I enjoyed him. The Brutalist, it's good. It's just so long and kind of a ugh. Babes, that was fun. That's like a girl comedy type thing. Um, I think that's it. Snack Shack is very good. That was from your Voodoo. I'm very happy I
I
watched that
have
because
not
you.
watched it yet.
Oh, well, it's got Sammy Fableman in it, and he's not playing Sammy Fableman, and he's also in Saturday Night, and he plays a different guy in that too, and I'm like, oh, an actor. I love you.
Isn't the dude from Love Simon in it too?
Yes, he is.
Nick something?
Yeah, I love how we both only know that it's Nick. Um, but yeah, so that one was really, really good actually, so I recommend it. Maria was all right. Elevation is terrible. Heretic's good. Saturday Night good. Conclave good. Your Monster good. Hit
I
Pig
want to
not
see your
good.
monster really badly.
Oh, then you would like it.
It
It's
never got
really,
theatrically released
really
in my
cute.
theater.
It'll go on a streaming service, and I promise. And I think you would really enjoy it. I actually almost love that one. We Live in Time is good. Don't Move is not. Harold and the Purple Crayon sucks. And
My niece told
then,
me the other day, she's like, you don't like that movie? I was like, I haven't seen it, but I don't think I will.
yeah, I hated it. I hated it. And then Nickel Boys is good. Tuesday is fine. Movies or dreams. There's so many coming out. The voting period for CACF is literally in like a week or two, and I'm dying. And I'm seeing 3 movies a week every week, but I love them. I love them so much. You can catch me at Hard Reviews. I have been doing a few. Actually, my last three, Moana specifically, is my seventh highest viewed one ever. Wicked's doing very well. Gladiator's doing okay. Please check out those reviews because I put a lot of effort into them.
I
And
will.
yeah.
And I hope to start doing stuff. I say it every episode, but I think I truly am getting into the zone where if I have some free moments here, I'm going to try to record probably at least just one for right now, just to kind of give, because it's almost the end of the year, at least give like a top 10 or something video and talk about some honorable mentions maybe, just to get back in the groove of things. And then starting 2025, I hope to get more regular on the film fan reviews, but follow me on there for more.
Yeah, and thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and please keep watching movies. Give someone the gift of movies for this holiday. You don't know how to get them tickets, buy them a streaming service, buy them a DVD or a Blu-ray while they still exist.
And share this video to give them a handful of ass. Perfect.